Okay, so I'm live with Rockstar Coach Mike Desormeaux, and we're going to do a little real estate market update here, what we're seeing in the early spring, kind of end of winter 2023 real estate market, and where Mike sees the opportunity going forward in the Southern Ontario Greater Golden Horseshoe real estate market. So let's start this off with some charts. Okay, so we've got the charts up here, and the first one, Mike, do you want to speak to this one?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, we got to give credit to, we haven't distinguished, is it Ben Rabideau or Ben Rabideau?
Yeah,
we're going to go with Rabideau. Is that what we're going with?
Rabideau, yeah, Rabideau.
Both are fantastic last names, by the way. Yeah. But yeah, so a lot of these slides are slides that he has provided us with. Other stuff we're pulling from StatsCan and whatnot. But based on the current situation with the environment in the Bank of Canada, as of today, Bank of Canada is holding rates at 4.5%. Fixed rates is there's a correlation there with bond rates, not 100%, but they typically do follow bond rates. So we can see that the bond yields are coming down, and now we have the Bank of Canada officially announcing that inflation is apparently coming down. I don't know about you, but
doesn't feel like it.
What baskets of goods are they measuring? Because food and shelter, right? That should be one of the big baskets. That's what we need to survive here in Canada. I don't know. Are you noticing food prices coming down?
No.
Gas prices coming down? Shelter? What about rent, or if you own a home, is that coming down?
Yeah.
No.
I looked at the truck I bought last year just this morning,
right,
and it's up $4,000. Same model, same, like I priced in everything the same.
Yeah.
Up $4,000.
That's wild. Yeah. I don't know what they're using to calculate this basket of goods. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's a good sign that they're putting pause on it, and the U.S. is slowing down as well.
Yeah.
So population. So just talking about supply and demand now. So that may put more pressure on the limited supply out there in real estate right now, which we'll go over those slides, because interest rates do reflect what happens in the market. The lower the interest rates, the greater the demand. The higher the interest rates, obviously, then you're slowing down demand because the cost of borrowing is higher. But then when we're looking at population, so when we compare Canada to the U.S., so Canada has a population of 38 million. We've had last year, from January 2022 to January of 23, 1 million immigrants come into Canada. Okay, when we compare that to the U.S. has had less than that in the same amount of time. The U.S. is 10 times bigger than Canada. Sorry, in regards to population. Land mass, there's just slightly bigger. But in population, they're 10 times bigger. So it's for context, the state of California is 39 million. Canada, all of Canada, is 38 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the population growth per capita is crazy.
Just there's that, per capita, the amount of people coming into Canada is like, and it's hard to see when you're in it, I think, for most people. But when you're comparing it to the U.S., a population of, remember, we're 38 million. The U.S. is 332 million, and they're taking in less population than us here in Canada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't see it. Like now I'm seeing it more and more because I'm paying attention to it.
Yeah.
And I just see the traffic on the highways at all times of the day. It's just always so much more dense, right?
Yeah. So future supply crisis. So on a good year, we're building at a record pace, 75,000 homes per year, which is, we can't keep up with demand. Now, COVID definitely took that down even further because there's no way we're building at a record pace. So 75,000 in Ontario, is a record pace. I don't know about you, but like seeing out there driving on, in the different neighborhoods and whatnot, a lot of the stuff that you do see being built is more high density type of stuff, like condos, back-to-back towns and whatnot. But the construction over the last 2-3 years was nothing. It was nothing like it was a few years prior. So, and that all comes down to supply chains, cost of labor. Like, let's face it, the immigration back in the 70s and 80s that was coming into Canada, a lot of that was European immigration. And a lot of the Europeans would do concrete, drywall, like they were labor workers, bricklayers, right? The new immigration coming in is more like IT. We're not, and so we have these construction workers that are being retired out. COVID expedited that. And then the immigration coming in, we're not replenishing that group of skilled trades that we need. So we have issues there with skilled trades coming into Canada.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never thought of it like that. But that's totally what's happening.
Yeah. So I don't think we're going to be keeping, we got 1 million coming in the last January to January 22 to 23. We need a greater production of housing than we have ever. And we're just not going to keep up.
Yeah. Wow.
So, and then for the resale market, not only do we not have enough homes being built, also there's not enough homes coming to market. So homes that are already on the market, a typical homeowner in a house, on average in Canada, they're selling their house between every 8 to 13 years. That's how it was on average. Now, a lot of these people have mortgages that are much better than the current interest rate. So depending on if it's owner occupied or an investment property, you might be looking at 5.5% versus like 6.5% if it's an investment mortgage. So some of these people have mortgages that are like 2%, 3%. So why are you going to sell your home right now, even though you may want to, but then double your cost if you're moving into like a similar size priced home in a different area or whatever your thing is? Why are you going to take on this new mortgage of, if you're paying 2%, 5.5%, 6%, you're not going to want to do that. You're going to stay put until rates come down. So I believe that's part of why a lot of resale homes are not being listed right now. And then you also have those sellers that they saw the sweet spot back when, their neighbor's home sold for $150,000, $200,000, $300,000 higher than today's market value. So a lot of homeowners are like, well, I want to wait till my house is worth that extra $200,000-$300,000 like my neighbors got, a year ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that they've seen prices that high, they know, it could get back there one day.
They're hoping. Yeah. It's hard, right? I could have sold it for this, but now if I sell, I'm going to get this.
Yeah. It's a
like
psychological.
Much lower. Yeah.
Okay.
And then February home sales. So we can see just since 2007, we're almost at historical lows. The only other year that was lower than a February home sales was in 2009. But that's also when we had the global financial crisis. I don't know if you remember that, of 2008.
Yeah.
So that was a recession period for us there. Single family home sales were at historical lows. So this is not condos now. This is single family homes in the Greater Toronto Area. You can see we're sharing these, right? Everybody can see this. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Okay,
that's the small black line in the bottom left.
Yeah, where you're looking at January to February, and it's got the little square indicators on it. You can see even compared to last year, we're much lower than last year. And last year we didn't have much inventory either.
Wow.
So year over year, change in active listings. So we have going from left to right, the 416 condos, that's up in regards to active listings coming to market. 905 condos, the majority of new listings are 905 condos. And I believe there's no data on this. Like why are 905 condos? Why are there so many for sale?
So what area would be considered 905 specifically?
Outside of the GTA, Vaughan, Richmond Hill, Hamilton, Cambridge, Kitchener, Brantford, all those 905 area codes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is 416 just Toronto, or is it like Brampton,
Pretty
Mississauga?
Much. Tough. Yeah. That would be tough. I
could be a blend there.
What's that?
Could be a blend.
It could be. Yeah. It could be. Yeah. Because we have the GTHA. Yeah. The Greater Toronto. Yeah. London, we would throw into the 905.
Okay.
But if we look back like the 416, not many condos have come to market. So again, there's not much data on as to why this is the case. But if I'm going to think about it, I think it's because the 416, a lot of those condos were built decades ago. Yes, there's new construction, no doubt. But there's also several condos that people have been holding on to for the last 10, 15, 20 years. Many of these may be mortgage free. So with the higher interest rates, people would have been able to weather the storm probably better in the GTA than people in the 905, because of the 905, the majority of those condos are newer. So the debt's a lot higher. So to service this debt now, you need much higher rent. And let's face it, like you're getting probably higher rent in the 416 than the 905. So in order, to not lose your shirt, you might be putting up that condo in the 905 that you bought as a rental where, the tenant just simply can't cover the cost. And you're like, you know what, I need to, offload it. Yeah. And redistribute that capital somewhere else. So that's probably why we have a greater a greater supply of condo listings in the 905 areas. And then you can see 416 detached, there's not many homes coming to sale on market. And let's face it, if you got a home in Toronto in the 416, you want to fight tooth and nail to hold on to that.
That's a gem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Because let's face it, where do you see homes being built in the GTA?
Yeah.
You don't.
That's a crown jewel.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. And then the 905s, again, there's not much in the 905s in regards to inventory right now either.
Mm-hmm.
Now we are going into spring. We're in spring. So we may see that pick up. Historically, that's when we do see listings hitting market, but seasonally adjusted, like we're not seeing much come to market still.
Yeah, well, so this is year over year change. So this is down from last year. So it's like, what? Like, for example, 905 detached, it's like 20% of the listings.
Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got it.
Wow.
Yeah, single family inventory. So the single family homes, this is now, this would have been, since 2014 to 2023. So last year was like, we didn't have much inventory at all. The single family homes, the inventory is slightly picking up now.
Yeah.
Across the GTA.
But still pretty low.
Historically low. Yeah.
So that's the small black line on the left, kind of middle left there. And then condo inventory. Yeah.
So, and then, like that last graph indicated, we've had more condo inventory come to market than we have in the last 5 years. So there's just more condos coming up.
Yeah.
And then this is part and parcel of the reasoning behind this. So with the increased interest rates, unfortunately for a lot of condo owners, they're negative. They're now negative. If they haven't had these properties in their portfolio for 10, 15, 20 years, if they're more recent buys, I would say in the last 5 years, unfortunately, they're anywhere between 500 to 1,500 negative cash flow.
Wow. And that's the average condo.
It is. Yeah. Yeah.
Based on average rents.
You got it. Yeah. And you can see how that scales from January 2015. They're always usually in positive territory. And then it sort of dipped in 2019-20. And then unfortunately, as rates increased, it's really eaten into the carrying costs.
It's interesting because even back in 2017, it started on a downward trend.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2020 just dipped right underneath.
Yeah, that has to do with pricing too, though. So as the condos become more expensive to purchase, obviously you need higher rent to offset your costs. So yeah.
Wow.
And then dwellings under construction. So we have a ton of condos coming to market, and that's just the municipalities, the cities. Like that's their whole thing, is increasing density in neighborhoods. So how can we cram as many people as humanly possible in this one pocket? So you get those high-rise condos, back-to-back towns with now no backyards. You get the commercial buildings with residential above. So there's a ton of those coming down the pipeline. The rental, so purpose-built rentals now. So they're finally picking up again, and they're picking up because builders, REITs are getting into this because now rents are going up. So it now makes sense again for them to build purpose-built rentals. For the longest time, purpose-built rentals weren't being built. And that's simply because the rent wouldn't make sense on the economics of them building. It just made more sense for them to build a condo and sell the units as opposed to build purpose-built rentals. But the sweet spot is the single family. So you can see there's no real uptrend on the single family. It's just hovering like it has been for the last, 30 years. That's where the
So this is what's coming down the pipeline, dwellings under construction.
Correct.
But already there's a bunch of condo inventory, much, much higher than single family inventory on the market. Single family inventory is down.
Right.
Then this is coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It just goes to show. So a lot of the condo stuff too, unfortunately, and this is nothing against condos, but I mean, a lot of the condo properties, Airbnb, the new bylaws behind that. So Toronto, owner occupied. Hamilton, as of June 1st, a portion of the house has to be owner occupied, as you cannot Airbnb. So I would never, so you know how the newest word is arbitrage, Airbnbs, right? Like that's like nothing against arbitrage, but you know who's doing the best arbitrage? It's the cities, it's the municipalities. They're coming down because they want to make more housing available for renters. They do not like Airbnbs. So that, you just got to be careful. Like if you're buying a property to Airbnb, make sure there's a plan B. So again, nothing against Airbnbs. Just make sure you have options. Options being, if the city implements, so in St. Catharines, for instance, St. Catharines, the city's now hanging door flyers on the doorknobs of homes saying, hey, if you suspect that your neighbor is operating an Airbnb, contact us. They're trying to, because they're only offering a certain amount of permits per year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you got to watch out for that, because that's a changing environment. So just going back to that, because again, I don't want anybody to think I'm against Airbnbs, because I'm not, and I don't want to come across that way. But if you have a property where you're considering, hey, this would be a great Airbnb, okay, fantastic. Do we have options in regards to if the town, the city were to come down and say, you know what, no more Airbnbs. There's 1,000 in our city. We're only offering 150 licenses, and it's an application basis, however they're going to do it. Could you then turn that property, could it survive as a regular rental? Because if it can, fantastic. If not, could you divide it up to a legal 2-unit? Would that help you get through? Could you put an ADU, accessory dwelling unit, on it? So if you have these backup plans, fantastic. Because that's what has led to a lot of these condos also coming to market. It's because, first of all, not a lot of condos do allow you to do Airbnbs or short-term rentals, but the ones that did now apparently have to be owner-occupied as well. Okay. So that's hard, right? And I get it. People are going to work around it, but do you really want to worry about that type of stuff, like finagling and doing stuff that you really shouldn't be doing like that? Investing is to make your life better, not more complicated.
Yeah. So where do you see the big opportunity then in Southern Ontario over the next 5, 10, 15 years?
Yeah. So it's just like exercising, right? Like exercising in general is good. So you could do jogging, you can do CrossFit, you can go to the gym and lift the weights, go on the stair climber, whatever. Just getting to the gym or exercising, that's good. So, but some particular, like CrossFit, might be better than weight training. Depends what you're looking for, right? And it's the same thing here. Like I think any of these condos, single family homes, it's good to at least get in. The biggest opportunity is the single family homes, single family detached homes. Usually the 1960s to 1970 built bungalows where you have that already second entrance off the side or back of the house where you can go directly into the basement, so that you could easily divide that house up if needed, where potentially there's enough lot coverage where you can put an accessory dwelling unit as well. That's where the biggest opportunity is, because we can see that that's simply not being built in Southern Ontario anymore. Like those houses are not being built. It's all high density. There's not much you can do to a condo to increase rent. We simply can't. So it would be get in the market, like as a real estate investor, like get in the market. Like condo would be like, that's our starting point. If you don't, like I just recently helped a flight attendant who works at the gym buy a condo in the border of Burlington, Oakville. Her schedule is she's on a plane a lot and she's out of country. For her, a condo makes sense. It's not going to have the best return because there's not much we can do to that unit to jack up income coming in. However, she also doesn't want to deal with potentially, if the furnace breaks down or an AC or the roof starts to leak and she's out of country. She doesn't want to do, and this makes sense for her. And more importantly, she has a plan. That place is going to be her place to physically move into. So she's in a single family home right now, but she's like, Mike, I'm probably going to retire in 10 years. And this is a condo that I'm going to move into once I retire. Mm-hmm. So that plan makes perfect sense. She's a flight attendant. She doesn't want to take any calls right now. She doesn't need the cash flow. She's gainfully employed. She can service the debt because she is going to be negative a little. And then she's also going to move into this unit 10 years from now. So she's securing an incredible condo. So this place is on Dundas off a street called Sutton. And it's only a 6-story building surrounded by single family homes. So you know how most condos, you go phase 1, you're close to the water. Well, phase 2 is the building now that's between you and the water. So you've lost that view. And now that building would go phase 3. There's a building being built closer to the water now. That's how usually condos get built. But in this case, she's surrounded by single family homes and nothing's going to happen to those homes. So it's a good way to secure a spot where if you foresee yourself or maybe one of your kids potentially going into a condo, if it's a good condo units don't come up often, if there's a long-term play there, it might make sense. But then it would be from condo, it would be townhomes, freehold townhomes. then semis, then the golden goose is the single family detached homes that are simply, again, not being built anymore. And then if we go back to,
yeah, just quickly on that point,
yeah,
even the townhomes give you more options. Like my townhome, I just converted from a 3-bedroom, 4-bath townhome. Now I'm adding 2 bedrooms in the basement to turn it into a 5-bedroom student rental, and we're increasing the cash flow by like $300.
Yeah.
So to your point about options.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It'd be even better if we could add a second unit in the basement and do more of this type of stuff, but it's still a great home in a great area. But yeah, it gives you that option.
For sure.
With a condo, you just never have that option.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And then take into consideration too. So the average Canadian will sell their home every 8 to 13 years. But let's face it, Anthony, the homes under your portfolio. So we're removing that stock from the shelf as investors. We buy these properties. Are you going to sell it in the next 8 to 13 years?
No,
probably not. It might not only be in your, like under you, like your title for decades. It might potentially go down to your children. Mm-hmm. So it may not come back to the shelf next 30, 40, 50 years. Remember, stuff was being like usually recycled every 8 to 13 years. Right. And now it's like, these homes might not come back.
Yeah. As
decades.
It become more and more rare.
100%. Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like the 905 detached from that chart that we showed.
Right.
The 416 and the 905 detached.
Yeah.
Just not selling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cause those are the gemstones.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So with the single family home, you can add a unit in the basement. You can maybe even triplex it. You can add a garden suite. You can student rental it. Mm-hmm. You can possibly Airbnb it.
Right.
With the condo, you just can't do that type of stuff.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you see the opportunity as the single family homes.
The biggest opportunity, and everybody has a price point, and it also comes down to, how much time do you want to be involved with this? Do you want to take any calls? Because if you don't want to, really deal with any calls and you're not in country, for instance, because we have more and more investors now traveling the world, right? Maybe the condo is the right thing. They're still going to make a decent return.
Okay.
But
yeah, like that other example, that was prime example of how a condo can be beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you thinking about negative cash flow right now?
Yeah, so really good question. So I think like right now in this particular environment, so we have rates at a pause, but the opportunities out there, a lot of the books you'll hear, only buy for positive cash flow, and that's hard to do at these rates. So instead of, if somebody's looking at that, you're not going to find, I shouldn't say you're not, it's very, very rare in this environment today that you're going to find something that cash flows. That may change very quickly if rates start to drop. But I think it's short-term pain for long-term gain. So if you're gainfully employed, especially if there's 2 people, husband and wife working, you're gainfully employed and you can service some debt, negative $200, $300, $400, $500 a month, I think it's better to take action now. And it sounds self-serving because we are a real estate brokerage. But if I went to you and I said, Anthony, what's a car that you like? Top luxury car?
I don't know. I like trucks now. So
okay.
F-150 Lightning.
Okay. how much is that?
I don't know. Maybe 80, 100.
Okay. What if I were to tell you they're on sale 25%?
Yeah.
I know they're not, probably. They're probably more expensive, but wouldn't that sound like a great deal? They're 25, or if it's a Ferrari, hey, Ferrari's on sale. They're 25% off.
Yeah.
Sounds like a great deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Housing is right now. All housing is. It's a great deal if you can service the debt. The reason why, we don't have a lot of inventory coming to the market, and there's also not the buyers buying as much because the cost to service that debt is higher than it was in previous years. But sorry, the opportunity. Sorry. So yeah, short-term pain for long-term gains. So instead of looking for, look for something that can get you positive cash flow. If you can, jump on it all day long. But if something's negative a couple $100, also really consider that, because when rates come down, this market's going to shift and shift fast. And then people are going to feel like they missed the boat. It just comes down to supply and demand again. We have too much immigration coming in. We don't have enough supply coming to the table. So do you know what a Kodak camera is?
Mhm.
You know a Polaroid?
Yeah.
Yeah. For real?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those made a big comeback. People are using those all the time now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So that's how I believe real estate right now is. Like, it's just a snapshot in time. So if you're looking at it at surface level right now, it's like, this is not a good deal. It's negative $400 or $500 a month. But that's today. What's going to happen when rates go down? And even if rates stabilize, trust me, everybody that's on the sidelines is eventually going to come off. You need housing, food and shelter, right? We need it, and we have too much immigration coming in, and we're just not keeping up with that supply. So remember, like, even if properties were to flatline over the next, and it's not going to happen, but 20, 25 years, by having it as an investment property and somebody in there paying the rent, they've paid off that debt for you.
Mm-hmm. And the rents are inflating every year.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. And that's what I was actually going to get to. Yes, sorry. You're absolutely right.
Even
That
if rates stay the
Polaroid,
same.
yeah, it's a snapshot in time. That negative, whatever it is, $300, $400, $500 a month is today. But yes, you can increase every 12 months, or if there's a tenant rollover, then generally you're increasing much more than what our government allows us to increase, because now you can catch up to market rent again. Mm-hmm. So that if you're negative $300, $400, $500 a month, that could quickly change within a few years. Mm-hmm. As rates come down, as rents go up, if once you have tenant rollover, or do you take that property, convert it to a second suite, do your tenants leave, and like what you did with Colonel Lyle, now do a student rental. So yeah, and that again, the single family homes, because we're renting them by the room, that's why student rentals are off the charts now as well, because also we're setting record levels of immigration in with international students. So unlike Canadian students, they have a cap on tuitions. International students do not. So their tuitions are typically 3 times what Canadian citizens pay. So they have the money, they're coming in, and unfortunately that's putting more pressure on rental properties, and that's why student rental rents are at record levels as well. Like we're seeing some room rentals rent anywhere between $800, $900, $1,200 a month for a room. Now you have a 5-bedroom student rental, you're at $6,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For if it was just a single family home, it'd maybe rent out at best $3,000 as a single family.
And that's why I decided to make it a student rental, is I noticed all these students were reaching out, even though it was a location not even that close to Brock University in St. Catharines. Like, it was like a half-hour plus bus ride, like actually not the best location, and not in the typical student rental area. But I noticed all these groups reaching out, then looked at the basement, realized I could easily add 2 bedrooms for relatively, low rental cost. It was about $10,000 to add 2 bedrooms, and then boost the cash flow by like $300, but then have students in there turning over every 1 to 3 years, keeping higher to market rents, and being able to increase rents, because I just kind of lowered the rent per bedroom just to get students in the first year. So I know it'll be able to increase it over time too.
Right. And and just like you indicated, like you said it's not that close to Brock, but it's just supply and demand. It's what they could find.
Yeah. Okay. So single family homes, Mike, condo, any exercise is better than no exercise.
Exactly.
So any real estate's better than no real estate.
Yeah.
But single family homes are like the CrossFit, the compound exercise.
You're going to make the weightlifters upset now.
Yeah. Well, the compound stuff, the squats, the deadlifts, the bench press, the Olympic lifts, that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck.
Yeah.
The most growth, the most muscle growth, the most growth in your portfolio. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Awesome.
Appreciate it.